sad the story, but when you're out in the field, team orders doesn't matter anymore.
In other words, man the posts full speed ahead and the rest be damned. Just those 5 points separated the Harpers from the motorite crew, while Cox and Testege were just too far back to threaten, seeing that a win is worth 25 points. In the prologue, which is run to decide the starting positions for the race proper, it was the Grobler-Jordan pairing who got the honour of taking it away. The time trial was run over a tough and testing 40-kilometre layout, and it was slightly wet out there too, courtesy of the aforementioned rain. National champ Voss and his co-Rob Pitchford were next and went herring off rather quickly. Grenier with his faithful nav Chris Birkin strapped in next to him were thirsting for a win in the Castrol Toyota Hilux, and they were driving quickly. There's always added pressure when your sponsor flies the banner, but for Brandon Harkis and Jean Moore in the Ford Ranger, there was even more. They needed a win. In-car, their communication is some of the best out there. After all, they've been racing together for a while now.
Big donga, big donga, big donga. Big donga. That's it. Meters, another big donga, 100 meters. Yeah. This is the warning.
And there were some big dongas out there as Voss and Pitchford discovered. In car, there was frenetic but controlled driving and thinking.
Go for 3 kilometers, no instruction. 3 kilometers. Caution, yeah? To me. Give it to me. Stop. Okay.
Woolridge and Schulthammer were the defending SP class champions and were driving like an NPRAC fan early on. Grenier and Birkin clocked the fastest intermediate times in a really well-controlled and aggressive drive, while Chris Visser and Jaapie Paardenhorst were fifth. Norwegian mountaineer Ivar Tollefsen and his stand-in co-driver VZ van Zyl were also impressing and would eventually clock the 6th fastest time for the prologue. For the Mickelin Excel dealer team, there was a very solid 7th place in the time trial with a time of 33 minutes and 26 seconds, just more than 2 minutes down. While Grobler and Jordan took it relatively easy and tried not to stress the Nissan Navara too much early on, they were 21st overall. The Zermatten brothers, Henry and Maurice, were also in the hunt for the national crown in Class D and were giving it horns. But weren't sparing the horses nor the carriage. Their Obi Nissan was getting a hammering. Newcomers Mark Ferguson and Craig West in the special Steels Ford Ranger were cautious but quick and were 9th fastest. While the Barden Tyre Services crew of Thomas Rundle and Brian Roberts were just 12 seconds behind them. The Nissan was in particularly good voice on the first morning of the Ford Carnival City 400. The big man Kutsielav Skachny and his co-driver Johan Gerber had their ups and downs in the year 2007, but were off to a very good start and taking line honours in Class D. With Bevan Berthold and the lanky Robin Houghton limping along in the second Castrol Toyota, it seemed that their challenge was over before it had even begun properly.
Just right, keep left, the fast part of the route. Yeah. And go up here and turn left. Yeah.
Tomorrow we race Today we fix wheels. One of our spare wheels fell off for some reason, and then we got a punch. We only had one, so that's the end of the game. We'll have to take our time and a half penalty, start maybe 20 minutes behind tomorrow, do the best we can. Otherwise the car's running beautifully, and just a pity the wheel was left a bit loose on the back.
How did that old song go? You picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel. Oh well, there was some celebration in the Toyota Cup as Gronje and Birkin won the prologue in the production car class with a 28-second margin over Brandon Hockes and Jean Moore in a Ford Racing Ranger. In the special category, it was clear that the route favoured the special vehicles, and Motorrad Racing's 05 champion Hutchison hit his straps early on and kept it right there. He clocked an outstanding 28 minutes and 15 seconds to dominate proceedings. It was clear that he had brought his race-winning form to the East Rand. The Harpers tried to keep up but were always just a tad off the pace in their Atlas Copco bat, but only to the tune of 25 seconds. Perhaps they were preserving the car early on. The second Atlas Copco bat also kept them on the straight and narrow, as the teammates Gary Berthold and Jeff Minute were just 39 seconds behind. With the 2006 champion, multiple discipline guru Alfie Cox and his nav Henny ter Steege in fourth, another 28 ticks of the clock further back. Another former champion, Shamir Varayawa, was making his Total Motorsport Porter sing-along with Siegfried Rousseau making the road calls. They were fifth quickest over the 40Ks, and it was rough and tough out there. In the Century Properties Development bat, Colin Matthews and Alan Smith proved to be the surprise package of the 07 season, and they were continuing on this trend with a fine 6th place. While Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell in the Absolute bat were just a half a minute over the half-hour mark for their time test. The tall grass, a result of lots of rain in this part of the world, made it tough to read the road easily and resulted in some rather bumpy rides, as Omen Silwalt and Tony Kaywood discovered. And Karl-Heinz Silwalt and Paul Helberg, winners earlier in the season, were flying even higher, albeit a little skew at times. With Regent Racing's Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson taking the 11th place in 32 minutes and 26 seconds, good enough for 15th overall. Brothers Johan and Etienne Besaidnout plastered on the pressure in Class B. They were 3 minutes and 16 seconds ahead of the old man, their father Bez, who with Johan de Bruin in the cockpit was hoping to win Class B championship. Just a point separated these two crews for the runners-up spot in the championship. Talk about the alpha male syndrome. In the Class S championship race, it was all over bar the shouting, but personal pride still would not let Nick Gosler and Richard Carolyn slack off. They were going well in the Kopenhagen Hotel race go. But the prologue gave pundits a good idea who had the best form, and it seemed to be with the Motorrad lads Hutchison and Bergman, who had a 25-second gap over championship leaders the Harpers. Cox and ter Steege were also right there to keep Motorrad in the hunt.
Vehicle and asset finance from